Hi guys, welcome to the Hard Talk. Before you go straight into this video, please kindly subscribe to this channel. Uh, Subscribing to this channel and giving this video a thumbs up is the only way to make sure that this video gets more visibility and this channel gets more visibility. And right from the get-go, my goal is to make sure that people get answers to questions. And I think the best way that you can help other people to get access to these resources is by giving this content more visibility. So, thank you. So let's get started. So today I'm gonna be talking about how to structure your statement of purpose, which is SOP, or letter of intent. I know different universities call it different names, and that's why I'm using that. And it's probably one of the most important documents in your application. And I'm going to be talking about SOP and letter of intent in context of graduate school. So if you're applying for an undergraduate program or a college program, of course, you might find some of the information I'll be sharing here useful, but it's specifically for people who are going into graduate school, be it a master's program or a PhD. I have applied for both. My application has gotten accepted into over 3 schools in the US and 2 in the UK. And some of the ideas I'll be sharing today were ideas I got from professors that I scheduled call with that offered me some practical steps about what most graduate schools are looking out for, and also some graduate students already who are already in the program. So, uh, based on my experiences interacting with these people, I found out that these are the 6 core areas that most graduate schools look out for in your SOP, your statement of purpose, or your letter of intent. Some are more important than the other. Like, take for example, your research interest phase with the university is probably the most important part of your SOP. Other aspects are very important, of course. They function together, but your research interest fits with the university is like the most important aspect of your SOP. And based on my findings, these are the 6 core aspects that make an SOP. So this is the structure of an SOP get-go. First thing first, you start with your introduction, talk about the program you're interested in and the school you're applying to, obviously. This seems very basic, but again, it's very important because I have not reviewed an application before, but I would assume it's a pool of application and they have to sort them. So you really want to talk about the program you're interested in. And then the next thing is to talk about your research or industry experience. For people who have work experience, you can talk about industry experience and talk about research experience if both are separate. But for students who are just graduating from a program, you probably don't have as much industry experience to talk about, but you can talk about your research experience. So talk about the research you carried out in your undergraduate, what were your findings, and how it stimulates your interest to want to pursue a graduate program. Then, if it's for industry experience, talk about your experience in the field, your achievement, and how it is tied to your field, of course, or your research interest. Then the next thing is to talk about teaching experience. So if you've worked or you've been a tutor, irrespective of the environment, I recommend that you talk about your teaching experience because this is going to give you a leverage when some schools are considering people for graduate assistantship. You could be a teaching assistant or you could be a research assistant. So please spotlight your teaching experience so that it gives you a leverage to get funding, right? Then another thing again you want to talk about is your service experience. But before I go into service experience, I think one aspect of teaching experience again, it doesn't have to be with actual teaching. It could be something that spotlights your presentation skills. Maybe you've spoken on some platforms or you've done some presentation at work and all those stuff, right? So you want to spotlight areas that really shows that you're able to communicate ideas just to get a leverage, basically. Now let's go to service experience. So your service experience basically talks about social good or social impact projects you've taken on and communities you belong to. So you want to spotlight that because again, it positions you as someone who is committed to something or someone who is genuinely passionate about solving problems, which I believe graduate school basically is all about. Research is all about identifying a gap or identify a problem and then having a structure, having a process that you're going to use to solve those problems. So that's why you talk about methodology and all those stuff. So basically, it shows that you have experience providing solutions to problems. So you really want to spotlight your service experience there. And the most important part is your research interest fits with the university. Uh, According to some graduate students I've interacted with and a professor, this is just about the most important part of your SOP. Now, you should know that you can have a really brilliant research idea and it won't align with the goal of the graduate school. So you really want to make sure that your research interest fits with the goal of the graduate school. And I think that's why it's very important to structure your SOP this way, right? At the end of this video, you're gonna find some samples that I shared, right? I will share two samples, one with word limit and one without word limit. So it's structured in a way that you don't have to think of how to start. From the get-go, it gives you kickers or it gives you an head start on what each paragraph should be about and how to structure your subheading if the graduate school allows for that. So now, what should you talk about in your research interest phase? Already, your research experience, teaching experience, and service experience should also reflect in what you're going to say in your research interest, right? It's like storytelling, or it's like you're building a block. Every block contributes to make a whole building, right? So you want to make sure that your research interest is genuinely connected to all of the things I've mentioned or all of the areas that we've talked about, and not just relevant to all of the areas we've talked about, which is your service, teaching, and industry or research experience, but it is also linked to the goal of the graduate school. I made a video about what you should do before submitting any application to graduate school. I would recommend you check it out because it talks about how to search professors, how to know the research interest of the university and all of the stuff. So just go check out the videos and it's really going to help. So once you've identified your research interest, the next step is check out professors. These professors usually talk about their research interest. Some of them even have links to their Google Scholar. I I'm also going to make a video about how to use Google Scholar to identify research interests of professors with a very detailed demo. So check out these professors, check them out on Google Scholar, pick a sample research that you know that is linked to your current research interest, right? Then discuss it briefly in your SOP, right? It could be, I'm fascinated by the research, or I'm interested in the research interest of Professor so, and specifically, his study on so and so aligns with so and so that I also want to build on, right? Just mention the name, the research focus, and now it aligns with what with your own. So I recommend you talk about two or three professors that you're interested in, right? Because again, I've interacted with a lot of professors. Some professors are already they have students filled up already for them, and they can't take on new students. So people don't get into graduate school for several reasons. Not because you're not good enough, but because the professors might probably have enough students they're already supervising already, and they can't take on new students. So you really want to mention about 2 to 3 professors that fits your research interest and discuss them. And the last part is conclusion. Your conclusion should talk about your readiness, your sense of uh, discipline. You should talk about your readiness to get into a graduate program, right? So you don't just want to leave it to chances and conclude sharply, right? You know, as much as you started strong, your body is strong, your conclusion should be stronger. So you should talk about how ready you are. Again, I've shared a format that I believe is really, really going to help you uh, in your application. I don't intend to make this video super long, so I am just gonna scroll through the format and show you how you can use the document. The link will be in the comment section, and I'm very sure you find it useful. So this is template one of the SOP. So as you could see, as you can see, overview, introduction, and why you're interested, right? So I use a sample, University of Alabama, talk about your unique background experience. It doesn't have to be something unrealistic, right? Then your research industry or industrial experience, right? So you talk about your research experience and you talk about different aspects of things that you've worked on, right? Then teaching experience. I did a couple of teaching while I was in school, so I have stuff to spotlight, right? Your service experience, your interest fits with the university. So during my undergraduate program in social and so, you focused on your findings, discuss some of your findings, right? And how it impacted. So I talked about the assumption that is not true, as you could see here based on my findings, right? And your primary research interest, right? So what is your primary research interest? Then how would the research interest contribute to the society? Then what's your thesis about? Like basically, for my own field of study, again, it's very important to choose a core theoretical aspect, and that's why I mentioned some theoretical implications. And you talked about the graduate program itself. You talk about having examined the research profile of the faculty. So basically, I've really made your work very, very easy. I shared this sample. It took me so much. It took me weeks to actually come up with this structure for an SOP. It took several reworking. It took several people editing this SOP for me. It took several people recommending structures and all that. So, and I'm giving it all out for free. I'm not charging you a dime. I'm not saying you should bring money to for me to help you with your SOP. I'm just giving you an head start. Just copy and paste on a new document, edit it to fit your own course of study, and I'm very sure that you find this useful. If you have any question, just send me an email and I'll be there to respond to you. So yeah. So once again, it's amazing going through uh, this SOP with you, and I really hope you find it useful. Please and please subscribe to my channel. This is the only way you can actually help other people to find this video and to find these resources, because I believe it's very useful, and I'm very sure you agree with me on that as well. Feel free to share with your friends. Feel free to watch over and over. Feel free to take the templates, use it the way you want. Of course, do some tweaking so that too many people don't submit the same format as you. But it's just to give you an head start. And if you have any question, feel free to reach out to me. And thank you for subscribing. See you next time. Bye.